Everyone please join with me as I pray. Almighty God, first I want to give you thanks to you, the one who put the desire in our hearts to become nurses. You have been with us through each step of this process and knew this day would come even when we doubted. Thank you for our family and friends who have sacrificed so much so that we could fulfill our dreams. They have loved and supported us even when we've had no time for them. Thank you for the faculty and staff, for always giving us words of encouragement or just being a shoulder to cry on. Thank you for this class. We are all so different, but you brought us here for a common purpose, to be comforters and healers. Lord, I ask as we begin our journeys that you help us retain all of the knowledge we have learned so that we may further grow and give our patients the care that they deserve. Lord, bless the path that we go down and help to always remember why we chose to become nurses. In your name I pray, amen.
Good evening. You may be seated. I'm Deborah Hoover, Chair of the Department of Nursing Education, and I am very happy to preside over this pinning ceremony for the May 2013 Associate Degree Nursing class. The staff and faculty of Wallace State join with the graduates here tonight in expressing appreciation for your attendance at this special event. We will be witnessing these nurses as they are penned by faculty, accept the light in the tradition of Florence Nightingale, and pledge a vow to practice their profession faithfully. The journey to a nursing degree has specifically defined student learning objectives, but there are often many extra experiences gleaned outside of those outlined in a curriculum plan. The program gives the students an opportunity to practice integrity, develop compassion for patients as well as other students, explore ways to be resourceful, and appreciate diversity. These characteristics are incorporated into the Department of Nursing's mission statement, and they ring true with this class. Now, I would venture that some of these items have been useful at home as well. Now, these questions are for the audience. First, have any of these graduates told you with integrity exactly how you could help them study by being quiet and assisting them with household chores while they have been a student? Second, have these graduates shown compassion to you by demonstrating how to turn on the dishwasher or operate the lawnmower so they could concentrate on studying? It's okay to laugh. I would think some of you can identify with this. Number 3, have these graduates assisted you with exploring resourcefulness by pointing out the peanut butter in the cabinet as a possible dinner idea? And lastly, have these graduates helped you appreciate diversity by suggesting there are at least 10 different ways to pair outfits until the laundry is caught up? Very seriously, this journey through nursing school often provides learning opportunities for everyone associated with the nursing graduate. Even prior to entering the nursing program, there have been family and friends who have enabled these graduates to take the steps needed to seize the opportunity to even dream of this night. Would the graduates now please stand and take an opportunity to thank all of your support systems who have assisted you in reaching this moment? Thank you. It has been the faculty's honor to partner with these students in a time of unique challenges at Wallace State. These graduates have been very active in their education. First, they gently encourage faculty to use social media to quickly disperse information and also involve a wider audience for the department. During the week of our Let's Pretend Hospital experience, which is designed for all first grade students in Coleman County, these nursing students gathered pictures and videos for the WS Nursing Facebook page that reached over 4,700 people that week. The Facebook page will no doubt have pictures from tonight's ceremony for all to enjoy. Second, this group of students also partnered with the nursing faculty in a self-study process to reaffirm accreditation through the National League for Nursing Accrediting Commission, better known as NLNAC. That project culminated in a site visit in October of 2012 and resulted in continuing accreditation, which was announced in March of this year. Pictures of students from this class even appeared on the cover of the self-study document. Third, this group was the first to experience widespread integration of simulation activities into all courses of the curriculum, using high-fidelity simulators as well as real patient models. Some of these graduates actually have drama potential for Hollywood because I know that from going to the simulation disaster. At this time, I'm going to ask my faculty and staff from Wallace to stand and applaud the contributions that this class has made to our department and the campus in general. Thank you. Now at this time, I would like to invite Dr. Vicki Halsey to the podium for greetings and remarks. Dr. Halsey has been the president of Wallace State Community College since 2003 and has been instrumental in helping the Department of Nursing Education strive for excellence in all endeavors. She has been responsible for technology such as Tegrity that I know many of the students have appreciated. She also has been responsible for helping us obtain high-fidelity simulators that you have been the first group to actually fully utilize. Dr. Halsey has worked tirelessly to bring to fruition, the vision of a new School of Nursing and Center for Science building, which will be completed in the fall of 2013. Certainly, the list could go on and on. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Vicki Halsey.
Thank you, Ms. Hoover, and thank you, Paige Harbison, for that beautiful rendition of our national anthem. Welcome to Wallace State Community College. We are delighted to have you join us today for what is really one of the most special events in a college's life, or a community college's life. And that is the nursing pinning ceremony. It is the culmination of 2 years plus of extremely hard work, a great deal of commitment and self-sacrifice on behalf of the students, but also of our faculty, and they are a very committed group, and I want to recognize them because Wallace State has the most outstanding nursing faculty in the United States. And it was no small feat to regain 10-year accreditation from the National League of Nursing Accrediting Commission, as well as initial accreditation of our practical nursing program. And you and they are to be commended for that. The School of Nursing began as a dream. About 2005, we started planning a new building, and as the budget shrank, the building grew, and we had to nix the plans for including the School of Nursing in that particular structure. But we did, it was just a dream deferred. Today, as you look out across the north end of our campus, we were able to secure a 43-acre tract of land. And what we have going there now was much better than what we had planned in 2005. So sometimes God's plans just work out the way that they're supposed to and not the way we intended them to start with. But that 133,000 square foot facility, $25 million project, will house the School of Nursing beginning in October. So you graduates, while it didn't come to fruition while you were here to learn in that facility, you can return and teach, and you can return and regain your CEUs and those kinds of things that help you stay current in your practice. Our goal here at Wallace State is not just to be accredited. That certainly is a baseline standard of excellence, but it is also to become an NLN Center of Excellence. So everything that we're doing is an investment toward that goal. But we just want the best for our students, and that's what it's all about. I want to say to you graduates, something that's a very sincere challenge to you. And that is, when you are a nurse, be a nurse with all your heart and all your mind and all your spirit in that moment. As a young mother with a child who is now about to be 24 years old, I spent a great deal of time in a hospital with him as a baby. Children's Hospital knew us well as Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland. If you see Ben Carson on the news these days on Fox News, he's getting a lot of attention as the chief of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins, who's on the political landscape now. As a conservative, he did neurosurgery on my 7-month-old son. I remember the nurses who took time to stop for a moment and say, "Mom, how are you?" Or to cuddle him a bit, or just to let you know that they cared. It's okay to be in a hurry, and it's okay to be efficient. You should be, and you should be very effective in what you do, but do it with your heart, and remember that every patient has an extension, and that is a family member who also needs to know that you care. And so I want to have you think about something that Mother Teresa said, and instead of that 45-minute speech that I had planned for you, not really. I knew you'd never go for that, Mr. President. Let me tell you a story about this Mr. President here. He's saying, uh-oh. In 27 years, I received the most beautiful invitation tonight that I've ever received before from your president of your class, so thank you for that. It represented you all very well. But when the Facebook social media site came to fruition, you know, they run it by me to make sure I'm okay with things and content and that sort of thing. And I'm looking at this beautiful image, a night-lit image of our proposed building, and I said, where did this come from? Well, our president of our nursing students was able to acquire that, and I said, well, how did he acquire it? I haven't been able to do it. So you are a very resourceful group of students, and you're to be commended. That's a talent. But Mother Teresa said this, and I will leave you with this. Spread love everywhere you go. First of all, in your own home, Give love to your children. Give love to your wife or husband, to a next-door neighbor. Let no one ever come to you without leaving better or happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness. Kindness in your face, kindness in your eyes, kindness in your smile, kindness in your warm greeting, and I would add, in your touch. As a nurse, she also prayed, "Sweetest Lord, make me appreciative of the dignity of my high vocation and its many responsibilities. Never permit me to disgrace it by giving way to coldness, unkindness, or impatience." Nurses, Wallace State nurses, God bless your every step in the journey ahead. Congratulations.
Thank you. Tonight, I would now like to introduce Dean Lisa German. Dean German, would you please stand? As Dean of Health Sciences, Ms. German has been an advocate for the Department of Nursing Education and these graduates on a daily basis, and we want to express our thanks to you. Appreciate it. I would also like to introduce Dean Johnny McMoy. Dean McMoy, please stand. As College Dean, Mr. McMoy has worked tirelessly in assisting the Department of Nursing Education with a systematic plan of evaluation for improvement for the future, which was paramount in our NLN self-study process and continues to be important as we go forth for the Center of Excellence, as Dr. Hawsey mentioned. Thank you, Dean McMoy. Now, Tara Berrigree, who serves as the class vice president, will introduce the Department of Nursing Education faculty and staff.
We couldn't have made it to where we are today if we didn't have some very important people in our lives, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Faculty, if you could please stand up when I call your name. We have Miss Michelle Baker, Secretary. Miss Jennifer Branham, who served as our receptionist. Miss Millie Carroll, Medical Surgical Theory and Fundamental and Med-Surg Clinicals. Miss Laura Chapman, Medical Surgical and Leadership Theory, Med-Surg and OB Clinicals, and Faculty Advisor to the Association of Nursing Students. Miss Ann Culpepper, Clinical Coordinator. Glenda Harden, Pediatric Theory, Fundamental Clinicals, and Faculty Coordinator for Blount County Kid Check. Dr. Jackie Horton, Fundamental Theory and Fundamental and Med-Surg Clinicals. Dr. Donna Lee, Advanced Medical Surgical Theory and Critical Care Clinicals. Miss Darlene McCombs, Clinical Supervisor. Miss Shay Mobley, Medical Surgical and OB Theory, Med-Surg and OB Clinicals. Dr. Brenda Pruitt, Medical Surgical Theory, Med-Surg and OB Clinicals. Miss Tara Richards, Skills Theory, Fundamental and Med-Surg Clinicals. Miss April Robertson, Clinical Supervisor. Miss Katie Roper, Health Assessment and Advanced Medical Surgical Theory and Critical Care Clinicals. Miss Karen Walton, Basic Pharmacology Theory, Fundamental and Med-Surg Clinicals. And Miss Diane Wilhite, Medical Surgical and Skills Theory, Fundamental, Med-Surg and Critical Care Clinicals. Today wouldn't be possible without help from each and every one of them, so we thank you.
Please welcome Shay Mobley, who will introduce officers from the class and officers from the Association of Nursing Students.
Well, already many great things have been said about your class, and especially of the class leaders that are on the stage. Last summer was my first opportunity to lead the class officers in the role of faculty advisors. So tonight it's a very special opportunity and privilege to get to introduce to you the students on the stage as class officers that led the way for your group in many ground-changing things like Facebook, as well as your AMS officers. But first, before I introduce them, I want to thank them. Because of my first opportunity to be the faculty advisor, I had a lot of things to learn as well. But I want to thank them for already setting a standard of excellence, role modeling, and being an example to all of the students, not only within your class, but those that are beneath you that are still on their journey. They're already setting the example for the August class officers that will be graduating in just a few short months. I know they're counting down. As I call your name, will you please stand? We have two class representatives, Christina Olmstead and Stephanie Adams. Class Secretary, Brandon Wynn. And behind every great president is an even better vice president. We have Tara Berrygree. And as you all know and love, your class president, Johnny Tidmore. Our Association of Nursing Students is still involved in very many activities in the community. We're still receiving lots of recognition and honors and awards, and we're very happy to have the AMS. Again, I would like to thank these officers as well for continuing a standard of excellence and expectations and setting the example for our entry into the program students. We have our Community Director, Rachel Louvier, our Treasurer, Kathy Burmester, our Secretary, Sonia Syke, Vice President, Tammy Samp, and President, Tasha Holderfield. Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome the President of the class of May 2013, Johnny Tidmore, to the podium.
Good evening. Before I start, I want to recognize Dr. Stephanie Turner, if you'll stand, please. We weren't sure if she would be with us tonight. She has taken a job down at the Capstone College of Nursing on the Tuscaloosa campus of the University of Alabama. So roll tide. Thank you for being here. For nearly a year, I've thought about what I might say tonight. My friends elected me last June. And that fall at a faculty meeting, I attended a planning session for this pinning ceremony. And my friend, Ms. Culpepper, who's been doing this a long time, and she's really become a pro at pinning ceremonies, said that the president's speech shouldn't last for more than about 5 minutes. One of them quickly cracked, he can't even clear his throat in 5 minutes. But I'll tell you, I'll try to be brief tonight. And I prefer to speak off the cuff with just an outline. But I've tried that the past few weeks. And I couldn't do it. I'm going to read the speech tonight because I don't want to have to think too hard about the words. The reason is I don't think I'll get through the speech. So I apologize in advance if I'm a little monotone tonight, okay? But what we have to say tonight is important. Before we leave, there's some things that need to be known publicly. about this class, about this school. And I'm going to say them all. I apologize. Well, really I don't, but you'll probably discover this yourself without me saying it out loud, but I am filled with joy. My heart is full. And I had decided this week I must be in love with these people and these people. Absolutely. I'm honored to be sharing this with them tonight. First, we have people to thank for helping us get to this point. And I'll start with y'all. Thank y'all for supporting us. And I know that every person in this room cares about and is proud of at least one of us. Because you wouldn't be wasting your night in a hot auditorium. At least you're not wearing a coat. And frankly, we wouldn't have invited you if we didn't think you cared about us. Okay. I want to thank the people of the great state of Alabama. Okay, I mean, I know it's a little unusual. However, I'm thankful. Who had the foresight many decades ago to build and subsidize and continue to subsidize an educational system where a student straight out of high school, or even an old guy like me and Ricky, has the opportunity to be educated and provided the necessary skills to enter a new career in an industry with a thriving job market in a relatively short amount of time for a relatively small amount of money compared to Dr. Turner's tuition down in Alabama, I promise you that. That was off the cuff. Mrs. Hoover always says such kind remarks. And she said, she has already thanked Dr. Halsey, but I'm going to do it again because it's in the speech. We want to thank Dr. Halsey and the administration of Wallace. I've heard numerous times from people on this faculty and people across this campus that she is one of the greatest supporters of the nursing program. And if it's not clear to you, when you leave this building, look up the hill at the brand new, up the hill, right? At the brand new nursing school that they've already talked about. I had a whole big speech about the School of Nursing, but I got to see the floor plans, and it is one amazing facility. So they're building on a strong foundation they already have here at Wallace Nursing, and have the best facility in the South, as far as I can imagine. Is that right, Dr. Turner? I can talk about Wallace a little bit. Okay. We thank our superb faculty. Not only are these ladies great educators, but they have all worked in the field, and some continue to work part-time in hospitals today, so they obviously witness firsthand new developments being implemented in these facilities and can share that with us beyond the textbook. And they're also our best cheerleaders. In fact, some of them are really former cheerleaders. Believe that or not. They serve not only as our classroom teachers, but also as our clinical instructors. Now, how do I know they're superb? I mean, after all, I've never had another nursing teacher except these, right? It's for this reason. I completed this past semester 106 hours in an ICU preceptorship. A preceptorship is where, forget those of you who don't know, where we individually follow one nurse working his or her regular shift and learn from that nurse while they care for their real patients. Now, while I think I learned something new every single hour I spent with my preceptor, I walked onto that unit every single day, confident that I had been prepared well enough by these women to complete the tasks assigned to me on that shift. I think Mrs. Hoover likes the story of what brought me to nursing school, but lucky for y'all, it's simply too long to tell tonight. My extended family tells me that I inherited my grandmother's way of telling stories, and we don't leave out any details. The reason I mention that is because she's here tonight. She just celebrated her 90th birthday, and I'm proud to say that I'll be the third of her grandchildren who's a nurse. Will you stand, Mama? They've asked you to stand. Please stand. And I must say that Morgan Moore, thank you for that. I must also say my classmate Morgan Moore actually cared for her at her long-term care facility before she got to nursing school. And so y'all be sure to visit afterwards. Okay. So my sister's a nurse, and she graduated from Alabama a long time ago. And my first cousin Gina graduated from UAB, and she's a labor and delivery nurse in Birmingham. And the reason I say that is because she's also just finished her first semester as a clinical instructor part-time for Wallace State. So sadly, she had a kid with a ball game or something, but she's not here. But I'm so proud to be a part of that and those girls. I will share a little part of the story once I got here. The nursing department offers what's called a hybrid option, which I took advantage of. I thought this was the greatest thing on the planet. A hybrid student means that I'm only required to come to campus for labs, where we learn those and practice those hands-on clinical skills, and for exams. The lectures are captured during regular class time and made available to us online to watch on our own time. Now, the only problem with that was that we, and as a side, there was only 14 of us that first semester, right, Paige, Amanda, Terry? We never really got to know, we were here only at night for our labs, and we didn't get to know the daytime students. Is what we call them. I guess you are just regular students, but we call you daytime students. As an aside also, I must say of those 14 people, there's only 4 of us left. That's why I could easily name them. My friends, Paige, Amanda, and Terry, I'm so glad you've been on this journey with me, and we've survived. Okay. Then, so we knew none of these students. We had very little contact with anybody who didn't show up at night at the nursing school. And then guess what happened the second semester? Mrs. Hoover's already talked about it a little bit, but as way of introduction, or pictures you're going to see later on in our slideshow, the second semester, LPH happened. Let's Pretend Hospital. And for what you don't know, or for those of you that don't know, that's where the nursing building is converted into a mock hospital. And as she stated earlier, 1,000 first grade students across Coleman County come in, and for a week we teach them, we dress up, we act nuts, and teach them that the hospital doesn't have to be scary. What was amazing about it is the team building I saw. The daytime students were there. The upper level students were there. Every faculty member that I had never met was there. And we had such an amazing experience. I've told that 1,000 times, and Ms. Hoover's probably tired of hearing it because I'm such an LPH cheerleader. But after getting to know all those people in the nursing department better, I changed my outlook. I no longer wanted to simply be a consumer of this system. I desired to become a real participant in the process, and I'm so glad I did. Now, I'll tell you, I've been a science and technology geek since I was a little kid. And the constant advances in health sciences simply amaze me. For several years, I've received an email each day that summarizes the latest discoveries in healthcare research. And as I read some of them, I get excited about what's on the horizon and how those studies will translate to how we practice nursing very soon. And the most exciting part is that we will be a part of that. As I read some of those, it reminds me of my favorite line in all of nursing school. It's from my first semester. Dr. Horton, they know the story that I'm about to tell. Dr. Horton, who, by the way, has been a nurse since she was 19 years old. And you say, John, that ain't no big deal. I mean, if you walked up to her, but trust me, she's been a nurse a long time. She looks fantastic. She said in one lecture, having nursed a long time, she said the greatest invention in all of nursing was the IV pump. Now you may say, what's the big deal? That statement makes good sense to me now, having been in clinicals, been in the hospitals. You see, without the IV pump, we have to set rates of infusion on IV poles by gravity. So what? It takes a full minute of counting drops to set an ordered infusion manually. So with as many patients in our hospitals today needing IV fluid and drug therapies, I can imagine that without the IV pump, Dr. Horton, nurses would spend all their time counting drops. So I get it, and thank you for that. I thought a lot about that since then. That was 5 semesters ago, but I favorite one. 20 years from now, when we all get back together at Mrs. Hoover's retirement party, I thought it was funny, not that funny. When we get 20 years from now, I wonder what changes we'll talk about amongst ourselves that we've seen over those 20 years. It's just so exciting to me to be a part of that bright future. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I sent out a message. Well, let me back up. I have redone this. I told you I've been working on this for 11 months, basically, and I've redone it 1,000 times, and I just scrapped half of it. Because a couple of weeks ago, I sent out a message to my classmates asking them this: what would you say if you were given the opportunity to stand before your classmates in this gathering? What would your story be? And in a little bit, I'm going to tell you what they said, because it's a lot better than the way I could have said it. But after reading some of those heartfelt, long, thought-out responses, I concluded that I was right, which is rare, about some things I told a bunch of brand new incoming students just recently. Last August and last January, I got the chance to speak at the new student orientation sessions for those incoming classes. In addition to the practical things I could share after being here for a few semesters, things like how to save money, the magic of using practice inflex questions to get you ready for your own test here, and of course what I constantly preach on, and that is the inkjet mafia. And if you want to hear that rant later, come see me. But the overriding message was this: that they were sitting in a seat, in fact these seats, the seat that gave them a ticket to change their lives, if they'd let it. If they could buckle down, remove as many distractions as possible, they had the opportunity to change their lives, provided that they had the heart of a nurse. Let's face it, this isn't for everybody. Am I right? I felt confident telling those folks that. I felt confident telling those brand new students that. Why? Because my life has miraculously changed. My classmates' lives have changed. And how do I know that? They tell me that. They tell me that on Facebook a lot. Speaking of that. But they also told me that in those responses. So I'm going to paraphrase what some of them said. And I think a few of them just sum up what I believe most of us feel. One student wrote, and they don't know I'm reading their stuff tonight. I told them I might, but you'll be surprised. One wrote, thoughts on this journey called nursing school. This has been about persistence and not giving up. Even when those closest to you would understand if you did give it all up. This has been a soul awakening journey. She wrote, I started this thinking things like, I can touch so many lives. But now I'm humbled by the number of people, places, and events that have touched my life and changed me. For the better, I hope. It certainly has made me stronger, she says. She says, I believe that I am blessed beyond measure, for God has given me a calling, a strong mind, a determined spirit, and all the necessary tools to accomplish the greatest good for the greatest number of people. She says nursing is not a job, it is who we are. Whether it's in scrubs, blue jeans, or hazmat suits, at work and at play, this is a brand new way of thinking, of absorbing, and of processing information. This change is good. Another student witnessed a relative die right in front of her when she was 15 years old. She was devastated that she couldn't help him in that situation, and she felt hopeless. She says she went down a very crooked road in her life right after that, and she was not proud of where it led. She decided the only way to save herself was to focus on helping other people rather than focusing on her misery. Here's where she echoes my exact sentence. She didn't come to school intending to make friends. I didn't. I came to get in and get out and become a nurse and do the requirements, and it's totally changed. Right? Y'all are the same way, some of you. She was the youngest person in her class, she writes, and she was scared half to death. I wasn't smart enough, and I hadn't had all the life experiences that everyone else had. I felt inferior and honestly didn't think I would make it. She said I would never guess that I would have a second family now. I've met some of the most amazing and intelligent people, and I wouldn't change it for the world. My classmates mean the world to me. My heart is now complete with a new family, and I know we will make a difference in this world no matter how big or how small. Another student wrote, I feel that God has placed this strong want to be a nurse into our hearts so that we can let His light shine through us by improving the well-being of our patients physically, mentally, and spiritually, because we've been taught to treat the patient as a whole. She says, I've grown and found the confidence in patients in me that I never thought I had. And she's quoted an unknown author that I've seen quoted a lot this week. During National Nurses Week, which is what this is, it says, when you're a nurse, you know that every day you will touch a life, or a life will touch yours. It's an amazing feeling to know that you have touched the lives of others. She goes on to thank our teachers. My classmates and I would not be the nurses we will be tomorrow if it were not for the continuous support and passion and dedication from all of our nursing instructors. It is very hard to put these feelings into words, she says, and try to get the message across to other people exactly how I feel. They talk about what an honorable profession nursing is. And as an aside, last December, Gallup published its annual poll on honesty and ethical standards. Americans gave nurses higher marks than any other of the 22 professions measured in the poll. 85% gave nurses high or very high marks. Now, some of you know, I used to be a lawyer. Guess where lawyers showed up? I'll tell you, it wasn't much higher than members of Congress at 10%. A little higher, but not much, I promise. For me, that leap justifies the price of nursing school. This pinning class, as everyone keeps talking about tonight for some reason, sort of the theme, has a private group on Facebook where we've been able to just share things with each other. In a post in that group, we were discussing the songs last week, the songs about tonight's ceremony. One member of the group posted the following comment. Now you should know and you should understand that this particular student's daughter just last year graduated from this nursing program, and she's employed as an RN today. My classmate wrote, I get so emotional when I hear the song, Go Light Your World. I think of my daughter when she was born and how she turned into such an amazing young woman. She gave me the courage to go back to school and to get my nursing degree. So I expect a lot of us will be crying that night during that song. We're all beginning a new and wonderful chapter in our lives, and we are all blessed. There's so much emotion in this room tonight, I'm surprised I kept it together. But in my opinion, those comments were all well stated and were good summations of what we've endured here. Now, with all of that said, I thank you for your attention. I hated to be long-winded, but those things needed to be said, and I'm glad you're here to hear them. But now let's move on to the real business of pinning.
Graduates, will you please prepare to be pinned as I call your name? Holly Vincent. Ashley Nelson. Brett McDonald. Ricky Snell. Jennifer Horn. Angela Smith. Brandy Chandler. Audria Thomas. Beth Hodges. Santa Marsh. Morgan Moore. Angela Thomas. Ashley Hill. Whitney Richardson. Kayla Isbell. Danielle Puckett. Brittany Leanne Rogers. Sydney Brooke Turnage. Christina Marie Crow. Chastity Chambers. Christy Chalmers Cole. Carol Smith. Katie Brianna Arnold. Julia Diane King. Jessica Gilliland. Christina Jean Bonner. Melissa Pilkington. Jennifer Rithenberg. Katie Michelle Swallows. Tracy Whittington. Amanda Duquette. Paige Collette. Terry Pate. Naomi White. Melissa Hempel. Rachel Louvier. Kathy Burmester. Sonia Cobbs Sipe. Tammy Sam. Tasha Leanne Holderfield. Christina Olmstead. Brandon Wynn. Tara Barragree. And last but not least, Mr. Johnny Tidmore. Please welcome Dr. Donna Lee to the podium to present the tradition of the lamp.
Good evening. Tonight's ceremony represents many months of sacrifice, dedication, and endurance by the new graduates who are being honored and welcomed into the nursing profession. It is both an honor and a privilege to participate in this celebration with my colleagues, my students, their families, and their loved ones. I would like to share with you the traditions behind the lighting ceremony. The practice of lamp lighting began in the 1860s at the Nightingale School of Nursing in London, England. Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing, established the school after returning from her service to the British soldiers injured in the Crimean War. Miss Nightingale and her fellow nurses encountered horrific conditions when they arrived in Turkey in the war zone. The barracks that housed the injured soldiers were filthy, rat-infested shacks with inadequate ventilation and sewage. The nurses were also hindered by a lack of basic supplies, including soap, clean bandages, and even food. The conditions in the barracks were so rough that Miss Nightingale was the only woman allowed onto the barracks after 8 p.m. in the evening. The soldiers came to associate the light from her lamp with caring, compassionate professional who came to alleviate their pain and suffering. The lamp lighting tradition serves as a bridge from nursing's past to nursing's future, which will be formed by the young professionals we honor tonight. This portion of the ceremony is a symbolic representation of the passing on of the nursing traditions of caring and compassion. The lighting of each lamp signals the transition from student to member of the nursing profession. Graduates, please rise and prepare to accept the light from your instructors.
Graduates, repeat the Nightingale Pledge after me. I pledge myself here before my God
I pledge myself here before my God
and in the presence of this assembly
and in the presence of this assembly
to practice my profession with integrity.
to practice my profession with integrity.
I will endeavor to maintain and elevate
I will endeavor to maintain and elevate
the standard of nursing,
the standard of nursing,
both as a science and as an art.
both as a science and as an art.
I wholeheartedly recognize
I wholeheartedly recognize
the importance of high standards of care
the importance of high standards of care
and of personal accountability.
and of personal accountability.
I devote myself
I devote myself
to the healing, protection, and welfare
to the healing, protection, and welfare
of those committed to my care.
of those committed to my care.
I accept a duty to work
I accept a duty to work
for the improvement of health
for the improvement of health
in the communities in which
in the communities in which
I live and work.
I live and work.
I will hold in confidence
I will hold in confidence
all personal matters
all personal matters
committed to my keeping
committed to my keeping
and will respect the privacy
and will respect the privacy
of medical information.
of medical information.
I will act with compassion
I will act with compassion
in ethical matters.
and ethical manners.
I will not knowingly administer or consume
I will not knowingly administer or consume
any harmful substance.
any harmful substance.
I commit to
I commit to
interdisciplinary collaboration
interdisciplinary collaboration
and lifelong learning.
and lifelong learning.
I fully acknowledge
I fully acknowledge
the seriousness of the responsibility
the seriousness of the responsibility
that I accept in my calling
that I accept in my calling
and the significance of this pledge
and the significance of this pledge
that I take today.
that I take today.
Graduates, please extinguish your flame and return to your seat.
Tonight, I have the opportunity to recognize some members of this class for special awards. During the Honors and Awards Night at Wallace State on April the 29th, multiple awards were presented to our nursing students. Recipients of Who's Who among students in American universities and colleges were recognized. I'm going to ask that you please stand as I call your name and remain standing till all of the Who's Who recipients are identified. Tasha Holderfield, Tammy Sand, Sonia Syke, Angela Smith, White. Thank you. You may be seated. On April the 29th, Tasha Holderfield was one of 3 campus-wide nominees for the prestigious President's Cup awarded by Dr. Vicki Halsey. Tasha, please stand. Thank you. The mission of the Wallace State Association of Nursing Students is to provide an opportunity for students to participate in a pre-professional organization. The A&S, in keeping with the departmental mission statement, promotes the ethics and standards of the nursing profession, encourages scholarship and intellectual achievement, and aids in the development of valuable leadership skills. I would like to recognize the students tonight who have actively participated in the A&S. Please stand as I call your name, and remain standing and hold your applause until the end, please. Tara Berrigree, Kathy Burmester, Chastity Chambers, Rachel Louvier, Morgan Moore, Tammy Samp, Sonia Syke, Angela Smith, Johnny Tidmore, Naomi White, and Tasha Holderfield, who was selected as the A&S Club Award winner that was presented on April the 29th. Thank you. The Department of Nursing Education has the opportunity to nominate a student for the Presidential Award for Health Excellence. Johnny, would you please stand? The winner of this award will be announced during the graduation exercise on Friday night, but Johnny Tidmore has been nominated by the Department of Nursing. Thank you. Now, the last award of the night is the Nightingale Award, and you've already heard a little bit about Florence Nightingale before the tradition of the lamp and in the candle lighting ceremony. But the Nightingale Award is unique. It is only given during the pinning ceremony and not during any of the other campus-wide events. The inscription on the plaque reads, "Given in recognition of your commitment to excellence in scholarship and dedication to compassion and exemplary patient care." The classroom and the clinical faculty have nominated these individuals tonight. And I would like for the following nominees to stand as I call your name. The nominees are Stephanie Adams, Chastity Chambers, Rachel Louvier, Ashley Nelson, Terry Pate, Sonia Syke, Carol Smith, and Johnny Tidmore. Thank you. I'm going to ask that the Nightingale winners please come forward when I call your name. The first recipient started her working years in politics as a secretary for Governor Guy Hunt. She later moved to a plant job but was affected by corporate downsizing, which spurred her to return to school. She was noted by her preceptor as dedicated, compassionate, and just excellent. Another noted that she was very caring and compassionate with patients and families, as well as a family advocate. She has maintained a professional demeanor and has been enthusiastic throughout all of her clinicals. Would Sonia C. Syke please come forward? show. You get to take it home. I heard that comment. The next winner is described by multiple faculty as a person who is eager to learn, caring, and compassionate. She always has a smile on her face. One of her evaluations had the following comments. She is very caring with a willingness to help others, even if it is out of her comfort zone. She has consistently supported first semester nursing students in their Nursing Student Success course. Overall, she is rated as a well-rounded student who will be an asset to our profession. Would Stephanie R. Adams please come forward? All of these nominees were very outstanding, and these are the recipients of the very special award tonight. The last recipient has been noted for his dependability. Faculty have commented that it's a pleasure to work with him. He is always kind and cooperative. He's demonstrated exceptional leadership skills, and he has provided care and concern for his patients as well as for other fellow students. Several faculty would just like to hire him for the staff. Johnny Tidmore, would you please come forward? Congratulations. As you can well tell tonight, this is a very special group, and it's been really a privilege to preside over this ceremony. Paige Collette, will you please stand? She was one of our Nightingale nominees, and I apologize that I failed to recognize her. And now it's my honor to introduce to you Dr. Brenda Pruitt, who will conclude our ceremony.
Okay, now when I first started this, they said you can speak 3 minutes. Then somebody said no, 5 minutes. And then somebody changed it to 10 minutes. And finally they said just talk as long as you want to. So judging by Johnny's speech and the length of the pledge and all that, I figure I could just go on all night, couldn't I? I have been threatened though. But I do want to say it's an honor that you've asked me to send you forth. And I want you to know that you can click your pants and you can smack your jaw all through this. No problem. I do want to send you forth to make a difference as a Wallace State nurse, a Wallace State graduate nurse. One day on a beach, thousands of starfish had washed up on the shore. And this little boy was trying to throw them all back in, you know, because they were dying. And so this older man came along and he looked at him and he said, "Why bother throwing them back in? What difference can you make?" So the little boy picked up one starfish and threw it in the ocean and said, "I made a difference to that one." So we don't have to make big differences. We can make little differences one at a time. The man continued on down the beach, and after he thought about it a little bit, he came back and he helped him throw starfish back into the ocean. So you can make a difference and you can influence others to make a difference. I do want to talk to you about making a difference as a nurse, as an N-U-R-S-E. We're going to let the N stand for new. Be new. As new graduates, you have so much new knowledge to offer. Think about all you've learned. Remember back in that frightening first semester, second semester, third semester, and I could go on. Remember in the first semester when you thought you'd never hear that blood pressure? It's just not there, is it? See if you can hear it. So, but in the third semester, you were to your fluid and electrolytes. And now you've learned your ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. You've also learned TLC, tender loving care. Let it also stand for think, learn, create. We're going to let the U stand for us. As you move from student nurse to nurse, it can't be I, me. It's got to be we or us. We need to be a team. You must also, on the Special Olympics, one of the young men in the race pulled out in front of the rest of them, and he was sure to win. But the rest of the pack caught up with him, and instead of passing him and winning themselves, they stopped and picked him up, dusted him off, and they all locked arms and crossed the finish line together. You never look as good as when you make someone else look good. I'll let the R stand for responsiveness, and this is the longest one, so don't panic. Responsiveness to our patients, our families, visitors, co-workers, and everything. As a nurse, you're going to start at the front door. You can smile at everybody that comes in. You can direct them to different departments. It's not just your place on your unit. I'd like to share a story with you that I heard several years ago, and it made a real impression on me. And I've never forgotten the story, and so it's kind of my signature story now. I tell it wherever I speak. The story was in a book called Who Switched the Price Tags by Tony Campolo. I think the story summarizes the importance of being responsive to others. The story is about a teacher, but the principle applies to nurses or to anyone for that matter. There was a 5th grade teacher named Miss Thompson. Every year when she met the new boys and girls, she'd say, "Boys and girls, I love you all the same. I have no favorites." Of course, she wasn't being completely truthful. Teachers do have favorites. And what's worse, most teachers have students they just don't like. Teddy Stollard, and a lot of times it's the student's fault, but not, no. Teddy Stollard was a boy that Miss Thompson just didn't like. He just didn't seem interested in school. Every time she looked at him, he had a blank expression on his face, and he had a faraway, unfocused appearance, staring out the window. And don't think petit mal seizure, because that was not it. When she spoke to Teddy, he always answered in monosyllables. His clothes were musty and his hair was unkempt. He wasn't an attractive boy. Whenever she marked Teddy's papers, she got a certain perverse pleasure out of putting X's next to the wrong answers. And when she put the F at the top of the page, she did it with a flair. She should have known better. She had Teddy's records, and she knew more about him than she wanted to admit. The records read, 1st grade, Teddy shows promise with his work and attitude, but poor home and situation. 2nd grade, Teddy could do better. Mother is seriously ill. He receives little help at home. 3rd grade, Teddy is a good boy, but too serious. He is a slow learner. His mother died this year. 4th grade, Teddy is very slow, but well behaved. His father shows no interest. Christmas came and the boys and girls gathered around Miss Thompson's desk and put their presents on the desk for her. She noticed one from Teddy, and she was surprised that she'd gotten a gift from him, but she had. Teddy's gift was wrapped in plain brown paper and just held together with Scotch tape. And he worked the simple words, "For Miss Thompson," from Teddy. When she opened Teddy's gift, out fell a gaudy rhinestone bracelet with half the stones missing and a cheap bottle of perfume. The other boys and girls began to giggle and smirk over Teddy's gifts, but Miss Thompson at least had enough sense to silence them by immediately putting on the bracelet and putting some of the perfume on her wrist. Holding her wrist up to the other children to smell, she said, "Doesn't it smell lovely?" And the children, as they do, taking their cue from their teacher, readily agreed with oohs and ahs. At the end of the day, when school was over and other children had left, Teddy lingered behind. He slowly came over to her desk and said softly, "Miss Thompson, you smell just like my mother. And her bracelet looks real pretty on you too. I'm glad you like my presents." The next day when the children came to school, they were welcomed by a new teacher. Miss Thompson had become a changed person. She was now a person committed to loving children and doing things for them that would live long after her. She helped all the children, but especially the slow ones, and especially Teddy Stollard. By the end of that school year, Teddy showed dramatic improvement. He'd caught up with most of the students and was even ahead of some. After that year, she didn't hear from Teddy for a long time. Then one day she received a note that read, "Dear Miss Thompson, I wanted you to be the first to know I will be graduating second in my class. Love, Teddy Stollard." 4 years later, another note came. "Dear Miss Thompson, they just told me I'll be graduating first in my class. I wanted you to be the first to know. The university has not been easy, but I liked it. Love, Teddy Stollard." And 4 years later, "Dear Miss Thompson, as of today, I am Theodore Stollard, MD. How about that? I wanted you to be the first to know. I'm getting married next month. I want you to come and sit where my mother would have sat if she were alive. You're the only family I have now. Dad died last year. Love, Teddy Stollard." Miss Thompson went to that wedding and sat where Teddy's mother would have sat. She deserved to sit there. She had made a difference in Teddy's life that he would never forget. As a nurse, you're going to have many opportunities to make a difference in people's lives. Don't ever get so busy or in such a hurry that you cannot be responsive to other people's needs. Let the S stand for steward. The dictionary defines steward as a moral responsibility to share with others. We all have gifts and talents. Determined to share those gifts with your co-workers. Nursing is a vocation, a calling. I'm sure all those that went into nursing for the money are not sitting here tonight. It takes a special person to be a nurse. Don't bury your talents and don't leave your gifts unopened. Share them with others. Let the E stand for esteem, particularly self-esteem, feeling good about yourself. How we feel about ourselves determines how we respond to others. You have accomplished a great feat to be sitting here tonight. You have a right to feel good about yourself. N-U-R-S-E spells nurse. Excuse me. N, be new. You, us. R, responsiveness to others. S, stewards of our gifts and talents. And E, esteem, or particularly self-esteem. Just in closing, I want to share a personal experience I had as a nurse. Not only can you make a difference in people's lives, but you're going to have patients that are going to make a difference in your life. I've been in the nursing field for over 40 years. Somebody asked me if I had to write my boards in stone, chip them in stone. And although I have many memorable moments, one stands out foremost in my mind. At the time, I was in the Postmaster's Nurse Practitioner program, and that was hard enough. I also worked as a clinical nurse specialist at the pediatric hospital on the pre-admit screening unit. And we did lots of things on the unit, from starting IVs, accessing porta-cabs, drawing labs. It was a really busy unit. And close to the end of a particularly harried day, I went to see my last patient. I was not in the best of moods, as I was very tired, and I was looking forward to going home, but not the hour drive it would take me. I entered the room of a very petite, blonde, 3-year-old girl with my papers ready to jump right in with a no-nonsense approach. Before beginning, I introduced myself. Now, I always do that, as Brenda the nurse. And before I could continue, this little girl that was 3 years old bowed her head and said, "Thank you, God, for Brenda." I was speechless, and with tears flowing down my cheeks. And finally, when I could speak, I said, "Thank you. I bet you're the only one that's prayed for me today." Now, if that wasn't enough, I went on to find out that the girl was there to be tested for short stature and that she was also blind. As you might imagine, I settled right in and did not even think of how tired I was or that I was staying over my time. One remark that the child kept saying is, "Mama, I don't want to stay at this hotel. I don't want to stay at this hotel." But she did stay. I was off the next couple of days, and the hospital contacted me with the parents wanting to talk to me. The mother said to me that she could tell that her child had touched me. She wanted to let me know that her child died during the procedure. I wept over this. This child made a difference in me on that day that will last me the rest of my life. She did much more for me than I could have ever done for her. I know that everyone has a story to tell, and we need to slow down and listen. I began thinking about what I could do, and I decided to purchase Dale Evans' book, and if you've never read it, it's great, Angel Unaware, to share with the parents and family. And I inscribed a note inside to the parents that read, on the day I met your little girl, I entertained an angel unaware. And I truly believe I did. I am honored that I had y'all as my first class. Y'all are so smart, so sweet, so energetic, and the best class I could have had on my return home to Wallace State. And I'm so glad to have been a part of your lives. I learned as much from you as you did from me. I know y'all had to help me with my savvy technology ability, and I want to wish each and every one of you the very best. May God bless you in your careers. I want you to go forth and make a difference as a nurse. I love you and thank you. And now will the audience please stand to honor the graduates as they exit the auditorium.